Welcome you all. My name is Vipula, and I'm the director of Atlas Software Private Limited. And I'm almost 20 years in the field, where I started my first web application job as a freelancer while back in 2003. And from that time onwards, I've been involved as a software engineer, and I did my bachelor's at Westminster University through IIT, and I did my master's at Kingston University. And by currently, I'm getting into or starting my PhD as well. So it will be a DBA. So I'm focusing on business and ICT and all these areas. So that's my background. So I've been in the field for working as a senior engineer for more than 10 years. And I've been working with foreign customers, as well as we are one of the pioneers in software applications in Sri Lanka as well. For an example, we are the people who are backing large technology companies like Camera LK. So Adlex Software is a company which focuses on high performance computing and all these things. So I founded the company back in 2016. And from that time onwards, we are running the company, and we've been working on cutting edge applications. So why I started lecturing? So about 10 years ago, I started lecturing in IT and all these web technologies and application types. And then I was actually involved in multiple universities. I did visiting lectures at Calania and at Morotua University as well. And currently I'm visiting lecturer for the Staffordshire University through API. So I'm mainly, my background is towards undergraduates and master's students. And I started ICT lecturing about 2 years ago by small batches. And now I want to get into the field as a fully seasoned engineer and a director, so that I can take you guys to the next level. Okay, so that's about me, and we'll see what we are going to cover today in today's lecture. First of all, I need to take you guys through a small introduction on why you should do this. Okay, so we have a couple of options when it comes to getting into the software industry. Let me address that first, and then we'll see why you should do this and where you should be aiming yourself to go at the end of your advanced level lectures. අපේ focus එක තියෙන්නේ අපි ඉස්සෙල්ලාම ඉගෙන ගන්න ඕනේ ඇයි ඕගොල්ලන් ICT කරන්න ඕනේ, අනිත් එක ICT කරලා ඕගොල්ලන් කොතනටද අන්තිමට යන්න ඕනේ කියන එක. දැන් මගේ goal එක තියෙන්නේ, I want you guys to focus on being a software engineer at the end of the day, so that from that point onwards you can grow your career based on IT. ඉතින් why IT? මොකටද IT කරන්නේ? IT වල තියෙන ප්‍රධානම important point එක වෙන්නේ, the most important point in IT is, now with all the advancements, all the technology, new technology stuff, AI, blockchain, and all these new advanced hardware, cloud computing, and all these things, obviously we all know that the world is running extremely fast towards new innovations. So when it comes to innovations, we all know it's all based on infrastructures and hardware related to each other, which is based on typical IT technology, right? So you really need to learn IT if you want to survive in this field. Come on, ඔයගොල්ලන් වෙන මොනාරි කරලා වෙන්න පුළුවන්. හිතන්න ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ goal එක doctor කෙනෙක් වෙන්න කියලා. ඒක හොඳ goal එකක්. ලොකු future එකක් තියෙනවා. හැබැයි හිතන්න දැන් මෙහෙම දෙයක්. So let's say if you want to be a doctor, and let's say you want to be a biomedical doctor based on technological aspects. Like, so I have my friends who are working in the biomedical industry who are specialized software engineers. So they get involved in building applications where they scan our cells and do all these biomedical level applications. So these guys are behind working on those huge scanners and so on and so forth. Obviously, medicine is a platform for, obviously it's going to be a requirement for everybody, and every time when there is some sort of a requirement for a software engineer which has the knowledge of a doctor, then of course there you have a chance. Then if we take a different path, let's say if you want to become a engineer by following a following the math stream. So math stream එක කරලා ඔයගලන්ට engineer කෙනෙක් වෙන්න. What's the next part? Okay, you can become an engineer. Let's say you get 3 years and you go to Mortua, and then when you go to the Mortua University, then you get some interesting things to select, because in Mortua we have a vast range of IT related engineering type of degrees when it comes to microcontroller programming, when it comes to hardware development, when it comes to chip designs, chip programming, and all sorts of things. So of course, still, if you are a student who is following or doing the math stream currently, doing your or getting your ICT done to give you a massive advantage towards your future. Because when you get to the university, then obviously it will be a big help, because you know all the IT terms and you know all the IT basics and you know what the basic of IT is. That's going to be the next part. Let's think about a art student. So let's say if you are doing arts, couple of different art subjects based on languages, music, whatnot. There's like a vast range of art subjects available, right? So let's say if you're an art student, then what's next? Then obviously you have your option to learn IT, and you can convert that into a different type of an application. Now, in the world, we have this application called Duolingo. So Duolingo is one of the world's best language learning platform, right? So all the people, all the developers who work in Duolingo has some sort of a language background. Otherwise, they can't create an application where you will use to learn a language, right? Let's say you're doing art for A level, and let's say you're doing French. Can be like, so if you're doing French, still, if you do ICT with French, obviously it's going to give you a massive advantage when you finish your A levels, because the IT community is really looking for people who has a language background. I'll tell you guys a good example. Now, in my company, we are a company who is mainly focused on European-based customers. So we have the need for good developers who can speak proper French. There is no people, like, it's really hard to find someone who knows French. මාර ලොකු වැඩක් කමාරු වැඩක් කවරේ හොයාගන්න French දන්න developer කෙනෙක්. ඉතින් හිතන්න ඔයා කරනවා languages A level එකට French කරොත් එහෙම French කළා පාස් වෙනවා එතනින් පස්සේ IT කරේ එකට එනවා නම් ඔයාට ඒ language එකත් එක්ක IT දැනගෙන ඉන්නවා කියන එක ලොකු boost එකක් එනවා. I will, of course, if we have somebody who is currently doing French and who wants to go towards go forward with your ICT journey, of course, do send me a message, because we have some open vacancies. I can immediately take you in as an intern, and at the same time working, you can, of course, continue with an IT degree and you can go forward. So remember that point. If you guys are, if somebody is doing French and who has the interest in ICT and to become a software engineer, please do send me a message. we can give you a good job offer. Okay, so that's about the background, the importance. And the second point is the impact of technology on business and customers. Now, we all know when we had the corona pandemic, what happened? Now, almost all the businesses were closed down, right? We had to lock down the entire country, and there were no way to run the business for about let's say about 80% of the businesses didn't had a proper way to run their business. Why? The reason was these businesses did not had their business, or these did not have their, we'll call it the revenue model. Revenue model එක කියන්නේ ඕගොල්ලන්ගේ company එකෙන් ඕගොල්ලන්ගේ business එක සල්ලි හම්බ කරන විදිහ. හරි. So they did not have a proper revenue model set up before this corona. So when they had to close down the place, everybody had to go through a massive problem and a financial crisis as well. අර හරියට කරගෙන ආපු කට්ටිය මොකද උනේ? ඒගොල්ලන් ටිකටක් ගාලා බැලුවා. Okay, we know how the business runs. They went online. So immediately we saw that a couple of businesses went online. They came up with this different types of online shopping carts and online solutions, and immediately they had a good sale, because since nobody is doing that, it was a good market open to them. කවුරුත් කරපු නැති නිසා ඒගොල්ලෝ වැඩේ පටන් ගත්ත හැටි ඒගොල්ලන්ට හොඳ මාකට් එකක් ඕපන් වුණා එකපාරට. ඉතින් impact of technology on business and customers කියන එක ලොකු point එකක්. මොකද ඉදිරියේදී අපිට තවත් මේක ටෙක්නොලොජි එකත් එක්ක ඉස්සරහට යන මාකට් එකක්, business එකක් හැදෙන එක හැදෙනවම තමයි. හොඳම example එක. So that's the first example. Let's see another example now. Let's say you guys want to start a small business. කියමු අපි නිකන් t-shirt business එක start කරනවා කියලා. Where do you want to advertise your business? ඉස්සර, let's say about 10-15 years ago, what we did was, when if we start a business, we advertised that business on TV, radio, and on paper. That was it. We had only 3 streams of communication. කතා කරන්න පුළුවන්, communicate කරන්න පුළුවන් අපිට විදි 3යි තිබ්බේ. ඒ තුන තමයි TV, radio, and newspaper. හරි. Now, I think most of the people don't even buy newspapers, right? Because everybody is mainly focusing on the technological part on social media. I hope you guys have seen multiple advertisements and different types of services provided through social media. So if we come back to our previous example, අපි අපේ කලින් example එකට ආවොත් අපි හිතමු ඔයගලන්ට ඕන කියලා t-shirt shop එකක් පටන් ගන්න. ඒ t-shirt shop එක පටන් ගන්නකොට කොහෙද advertise කරන්න හොඳම? What is the best place to advertise? If it is that type of a product, then obviously the best market would be to advertise it on Instagram, right? Either Instagram or on Facebook, or ලස්සන මොන හරි නිකන් වීඩියෝ එකක් දාලා හදනවා නම් එහෙනම් TikTok. So that's the technological part. ඉතින් ඕගොල්ලන් කොච්චර ඕක ඉගෙන ගත්තත් මොනවා කරලා ඉස්සරහට ගියත් හිතන්නකෝ ඕගොල්ලන් කොමර්ස් කරා කියලා කොමර්ස් කරලා ඉස්සරහට ගියත් still you need to know how IT and how internet and all these technology things work, because that is going to be the future. Okay, super. So then the third point, role of technology in innovation and progress. This is also something new. So I've been teaching for, let's say, a big load of companies, and I've been doing training sessions for companies as well. So because of that reason, I tend to meet up with these people where we think about the innovation and progress of things. හොඳම උදාහරණයක් දැන් මේ QR වැඩේ ලංකාවට ආවනේ. ලංකාවේ QR වැඩේ පටන් ගත්තේ මේ ගිය අවුරුද්දේ පෙට්‍රල් රෂන්ස්. අපි QR කෝඩ් එක ස්කෑන් කරලා හොටෙල් එකක රෙස්ටෝරන්ට් එකක මෙනු එක අරගෙන ඒකේ ප්‍රොඩක්ට් එකක් පර්චේස් කරලා ඒක ඔන්ලයින් ප්ලේ කරන සිස්ටම්ස් ඩෙවලොප් කරේ 2011. So we were involved in those type of things back in 2011, yeah, 2011 or 2012, almost 10 years ago. So the innovation and the progress was there, but like in countries like this, it's sad to say that the innovation and progress is slow because people need to get some sort of a problem in order to find a solution. මම එකත් ඉදිරියේ ඔයගලන්ට කියලා දෙන්නම් කොහොමද මේ problems and solutions හැදෙන්නේ කියලා අපේ next අපි data types ගැන කතා කරනකොට I'll go in depth and I'll explain you guys how these problems and solutions are being connected together and how it works. So role of technology in innovation. ඉතින් ඕගොල්ලෝ මේක ඉගෙන ගත්තාම ඕගොල්ලන්ට ඇත්තටම innovative ideas ගන්න පුළුවන් point එකකුත් ඕගොල්ලන්ට හම්බ වෙනවා. I'll tell you a small example for this as well. Let's say your parents or your sisters or your siblings, someone who is running a business. අපි හිතමු මේ මොකක්ද simple product එකක් හදනවා කියලා ගෙදර. ඒ product එක you can obviously come up with different innovative solutions for that product, right? For an example, let's see in Sri Lanka, I don't know if you guys are familiar, but in Sri Lanka there is a big market for exports of coconut water and king coconut. The අපේ කුරුම්බයි පොල් වතුරයි තැඹිලි වතුරයි එක්ස්පෝර්ට් කරන්න ලංකාවේ තියෙන ලොකු මාකට් එකක්. ඉතින් ওই මාකට් එක ඉස්සර ඉඳලා තිබුණා. අපි දන්නේ නැති වුණාට ඉස්සර ඉඳලම තිබුණ මාකට් එක තාමත් තියෙනවා. It's kind of like a multi-million market. Okay. Now, what happened with the technology was people were used to buy this coconut and king coconut water from almost all the other Asian countries. But apparently, Sri Lankan coconut water and king coconut water has some sort of a special thing in it. And there's a specific market for that particular product. ඉතින් මොකද උනේ මිනිස්සු ඕක ඉනෝවේට් කරන්න ගත්තා. So they basically started using digital mediums to advertise and create new products based on that, and now it has become a big innovative market. ඉතින් දැන් පොල් ගෙඩිය තැඹිලි ගෙඩිය ඉස්සර ඉඳලා තිබ්බ දෙයක් ලංකාවේ. අපි ඉපදෙන්නත් කලින් අපි ඉස්සරනේ අවුරුදු 1000 තිස්සේ තිබුණානේ. ඒක තිබුණාට දැන් එහා රටේ මිනිහා දන්නේ අපේ රටේ පොල් හොදයි කියලා. නැත්නම් පොල් වතුර හොදයි කියලා. ඕක simple answer. ඉතින් ওই වගේ දේවල් using the IT and innovating the technology, we can obviously take it to a next level. Okay, and then the next point, how technology has changed the way we communicate and interact with the world. That ඔතන තමයි අනිත් point එක එන්නේ. අපි දැන් communicate කරනවා කියන ප්‍රශ්නේ. So the communication is one of the major problems we had back in the day. Not now, we had. Because now, let's say about 10 years ago, for Sri Lankans, it was like a smartphone was something new. Believe me, by about 10 years ago, a smartphone was actually something pretty much new for Sri Lanka. Because we didn't had all these different types of smartphones, and it was like pretty expensive as well. And at the same time, we didn't had these required technologies to support this. So I can remember back in 2010 or 29 or 2010, I had this Nokia small phone, Nokia E72. It's kind of like a phone with a keypad. So that was the smartphone generation which we had back then. So it was running on an operating system called Symbian OS, and the applications were developed based on Java. So the fun part is that particular phone had Facebook installed in it, Facebook mobile version. It had the Opera browser, and it had a 5 megapixel camera. The problem was in Sri Lanka, we didn't have a proper internet connection to use that. අවුරුද්දායකට කලින් අපේ 4G කතාවක් තිබුණෙත් නැහැ. 3G එකත් ඇත්තටම වැඩ කරේ නැහැ. ඉතින් එතකොට අපි ගොඩක් පස්සෙන් හිටියේ. So we had to go through that period of time. So we learned how to kind of go slow to the next future. But you guys are like extremely lucky, and you guys are like extremely fortunate, because now we are in the top notch level when it comes to the internet and communication. Now everybody has a smartphone, everybody know how to use the smartphones, and everybody know how these smartphone operating systems and applications work. Then online gaming තියෙනවා. අපි back in the day like in 2003 2004 අපිට online gaming කියන්නේ අපි internet cafe එකකට ගිහිල්ලා කට්ටිය set වෙලා game එකක් ගන්නවා. දැන් කට්ටිය set වෙලා game එකක් ගන්න කට්ටිය ගෙවල් වල ඉඳගෙන game එකක් ගන්නවා. ඒ දවස්වල internet වල game එකක් ගන්න බෑ. internet එච්චර slow. What we had was this thing called dial-up modems. So the internet speed was 56 kilobytes per second, kilobits per second. So that is give or take about 3 kilobytes. I think now even your home connections will be at least the minimum of 4 Mbps. That will go up to about, let's say, around 400 to, around 400 kilobytes. Okay, so it's almost 100 times faster than what we had back in 2004. So that is now, I hope you guys got the point. මං හිතනවා ඔයගලන්ට තේරුණා කියලා මේ කියන දන point එක. ඔයගලන් ඉන්නේ හොඳම වෙලාවක දැන් මේ IT එක IT structures internet වැඩ කරන විදිය හොඳටම ඉගෙන ගන්න. Because technology has completely changed the way we communicate. ඔයගලන්ට games තියෙනවා ඔය වගේ ගොඩාක් ඉස්සරහට තියෙනවා. අපි ඉස්සරහට කතා කරමු ඔයගලන්ට යන්න පුළුවන් time stick. The benefits of technology in improving efficiency and productivity. This is also a point on why you need to learn ICT. Benefits of the technology improving efficiency and productivity. අපි අපි t-shirt shop එක ගමු example එකක් ගන්න. කවුරු කෙනෙක් t-shirt printing shop එකක් පටන් ගන්නවා කියමු. දැන් ඔයාලට ප්‍රශ්නයක් එනවා. So now you're getting orders. It's good. So your business is good and you're getting multiple orders every day. Now there's a problem. How are you going to track all these orders, and what is your plan on like separating these orders into different groups so that it will directly show to which customer you need to send this order to? අන්න ප්‍රශ්නයක් එනවා. ඔයා කොහොමද හොයාගන්නේ ඔයාට ආපු orders ටික මොනවද? මම මොන customerටද මේ orders ටික යවන්නේ කියලා. නලෝක ප්‍රශ්නයක්. ඕක කොහොමද handle කරන්නේ? handle කරන්න. How do you handle it? So the easiest way to handle this is to use the technology, right? We'll say we can do that by creating a Google Sheet. By going into Google Docs, you can create a Google Sheet. On the sheet, columns to first column product name, second column customer, third column how many items he ordered or the customer ordered, fourth column price, and fifth column address, delivery address. Now you have a clear idea how many customers you have, what are the products they have requested, or what are the products they have purchased, where you want to deliver these products, and how much you are going to get at the end of the day. It may be free. Then Google it's almost free. So now I hope you guys got that point as well. So when you learn ICT, that is also going to help you in a massive way so that you can easily move forward. Then the most important point. ඔයාගේ career එක මොනවද? IT ඔයාට දෙන career opportunities මොනවද IT industry එකේ? ඔන්න තියෙන Most of the students ask me this same question. What are the career opportunities I have when we go forward into the IT industry? So career opportunities. I have created a couple of videos as well. If you guys check my Facebook or TikTok, you might see that as well. So career opportunities. I'll take you guys through this in a clear way so that you can understand what are the opportunities you have. When it comes to IT, the industry as a whole, you have like three major roles which has the most requirement in the IT field. First role is for application developers. කවුද application developer කෙනෙක් කියන්නේ? Application developer කෙනෙක් කියන්නේ a person who will basically gets their hand dirty with a specific with a specific coding language. Let's say you can be a back-end application developer for server-side applications, or you can become a desktop application developer for Windows or Mac applications, or you can become a mobile application developer for the gaming and those type of applications which we use on mobiles. ඉතින් අනිත් ප්‍රශ්නේ දැන් මේකේ මට කීයක් විතර හොයන්න. So how much I can earn if I get into the IT industry as a, let's say, as a starter, as a fresher, or as an intern. Okay, so that's the word. So you basically join the IT industry as an intern, where intern stands for something like a person who is currently doing some sort of a degree and he's learning. While he's learning, he's working at a company. So that is an intern. Okay, so as an intern, if you get into, I'll just tell you some numbers here and there. So if you get into the IT industry as an intern, you can get a salary up to starting from around 15,000 to, it can, depending on the company, it can go up to about 60,000. That is based on the company, because there are companies who pay more than that as well. And then when you progress towards your career, let's say you stay there for about 3 years. Now you're a developer who has 3 years of experience. Then of course your salary will automatically go up to the range around 200 to 300,000. That would be the range. That is after 3 years. Okay, and again, this is depending on the company. There are companies who pays up to 500 to 600,000. ලක්ෂ 5යි ලක්ෂ 6යි අතර ගාණක් given companies උත් තියෙනවා. That is depending on your skill set. මොකද නිකන් පඩි ගෙවන්නේ නැහැ නේ කම්පැනි එකකින්. පඩි ගෙවන්න අනිවාර්යයෙන් ඔයාට මොන හරි specific skill set එකක් තියෙන්න ඕනේ. In order for them to pay you that salary, you need to have a specific skill set which that company will use. So after about 3 years, you can get into a salary range like that. ඊට පස්සේ අපි සිංහලෙන් කියනවා හොඳ පොරක් වුණොත් අය the software engineer කෙනෙක් වුණොත්, obviously there's a chance for you to reach the top level where you will be a senior software engineer or you will be a tech lead. And when you get into that stage, obviously your salary will be more than 600,000. It can go up to, let's say, about, if you work for a foreign customer, you can easily get around 1.5 million. ලක්ෂ 15 16 20ක් උනත් ඒ වගේ ගානකට යන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි මාර කලින් කිව්වා වගේ අපි සිංහල විහාරයෙන් කියනවා නම් හොඳ පොරක් වෙන්න. හොඳ පොරක් වුණොත් නිකම්ම පුළුවන් මේ වගේ ගානකට යන්න. හරි. Okay. So that's the idea behind getting into the career, getting yourself as a software engineer to the IT industry. Future prospects of the IT industry. The next point. මෙතනත් ලොකු ගැඹුරු අදහසක් තියෙනවා future prospects. Future prospect එක කියන්නේ ඔයගලන්ට මොනවද ඉදිරියේදී IT industry එකේ තව යන්න පුළුවන් තැන් නැත්තම් මොනවද හම්බෙන්නේ. So these days, you guys are actually going through a good and a it can be good and it can be bad both ways. So now we are having an AI revolution because everybody is getting into AI. Videos are being generated by AI, images are being generated by AI, even songs are being written and sung by AI. And you can write emails, you can get your coursework or your questions done, you can ask anything from AI, right? So this is based on these large language models, which are also known as LLMs. So we'll get to that as well. So when we are doing the data module, I will obviously take you through all these AI points, and I will show you some. Um, I will give you an introduction on how it works as well. So future prospects අපි ආයෙත් topic එකට එමු. Topic එකේ තියෙන්නේ දැන් මේ තියෙන with all these upgrades and with all these new things coming into the market, for a software engineer you have like a vast range of future prospects where you can follow up in the sense. Now you guys know that there's a new job role has been introduced called prompt engineer. Okay, remember the word. The word is prompt engineer. A prompt engineer is the person who will write a prompt. Prompt එකක් කියන්නේ හිතන්නකෝ ප්‍රශ්නයක් කියලා. ප්‍රශ්නයක් AI එකෙන් අහන්න. ඕක මරු වැඩේ එන හෙට ජොලි ජොබ් එකක් ඒක. මොකද එක එක ඒවා හදා හදා බලන්න තියෙන්නේ දැන්. AI එකෙන් සිංහලෙන් කියනවනම් ඕන දෙයක් අහන්න. The language models the way these language models are created, you can literally ask any sort of a question and it will immediately give you a specific answer. So this question is known as the prompt. Okay, so this particular question is known as the prompt. So what happens is now we need developers who can literally create this prompt. ඔතන තමයි අමාරු වැඩේ තියෙන්නේ. දැන් අපිට ඕනේ ඩෙවලොපර් කෙනෙක්ව ඔයන ඔය prompts ටික හදන්න. ඔය prompt එක develop කරන්න. ඒක හිතන තරම් ලේසි නෑ, but now apparently there's a dedicated job for that. So there's a new job role which has been introduced and it's called the prompt engineer. Okay, so with the AI අපේ මිනිස්සු ටිකක් කෑ ගහනවා මොකද බය වෙච්ච අය පොඩ්ඩක් කෑ ගහනවා මේ ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවා අපේ ජොබ් නැති වෙයිද දන්නේ නැහැ ඔහොම කියලා පොඩ්ඩක් මිනිස්සු දැන් ස්ට්‍රෙස් වෙලා ඉන්නවා තමයි. හැබැයි ඔය ස්ට්‍රෙස් වෙලා ඉන්න එකේ වැඩේ තියෙන්නේ ගොඩක්ම ක්‍රියේටර්ස්ලට ප්‍රශ්නයක් වෙනවා AI එක. Mostly the AI problem is being AI is being kind of attacking mostly with the creators where they create images, where they created articles and so on and so forth. The problem is automatically AI can generate it for you, right? So if you take chat, open AI, and I'll show you a small thing, small part. So I'm just going to log in with my Gmail account and I'll show you something which you can ask. So now this is the ChatGPT AI engine. Now let's say we need to ask something. අපි හිතමු මොනවාරි simple දෙයක් ඕගලන්ට මොනවාරි ප්‍රශ්නයක් ආවා කියලා අපි හිතමු. ඒක ගණිතමය ගැටලුවක් වෙන්න පුළුවන් නැත්නම් හරි අපි මේ simple A level ප්‍රශ්නයක් අහමු. අපි අහමු මේ what is data and how is it important? What is data and how is it important? බලමු කොහොමද අපිට දෙන උත්තරය කියලා. AI engine එකේ chat GPT එකේ ඔන්න දැන් ඔන්න ලස්සනට හදනවා කතන්දර. දැන් ඔයගලන් හිතන්න එපා මේ ඔයගලන්ගේ A-level paper එක තියෙන උනත් මේක තිබ්බට ලේසි කියලා. ඇත්තටම ලේසි තිබ්බනම් බට් ඕක තිබ්බාම ඉතින් ඔළුව පාවිච්චි කරන්න නැතුව ඕක පාවිච්චි කරනවා. ඒක නිසා ඒක හරියන්නේ. But now using these engines you have the option to generate a lot of content and generate new things, or you can basically ask the AI to write something as well. So it's taking a bit of time, so it will take some time to complete. But if you give it the required, or if you ask the correct prompt, so this is the prompt, obviously it's going to give you a good result. හරි. So අපි මේක යන්න ඇරලා යන අපේ class මේකට. So that is the future prospect part of IT. So it's going to give you a lot of prospects. හැබැයි ළමයි මතක තියාගන්න මම අර කලින් කියපු දේ වගේ IT industry එකේ demand එකක් තියෙනවා. ලොකු demand එකක් තියෙනවා. There's a big demand in the IT industry. But remember, at the same place, there's a huge supply, or there's a huge lot of students who get their degrees, and there's a huge supply in the market as well. ඉතින් supply එකයි demand එකයි එකට ආවම supply එක demand එකට වැඩි වුණාම automatically there's going to have some software engineers left without having a proper job. ඉතින් ඒකෙදි ප්‍රශ්නේ වෙන්නේ you guys need to, as ICT students and students who are doing the A-level next year, you guys can literally plan this out. If you want to start your career as a software engineer, you can plan it out right now itself and create a proper plan so that it will take you to the next step as a software engineer. And මම අර කලින් කිව්ව හැම හොඳට මතක තියාගන්න IT නිකන් IT එක IT ICT නිකන් කරලා වැඩක් නැහැ. ඔයා ඇත්තටම මේ ෆීල්ඩ් එකේ පොරක් වෙන්න plan එකක් නැත්තම් නිකම්ම ඒකක් ගන්න නම් plan එක no problem. I'll teach you how to get an A. I'll teach you all the points and I'll drag you through the entire flow. But what I urge is to keep a target so that you can get into the IT field. Okay, and next 3 points are all almost similar. Importance of digital literacy. කොහොමද ඒක තියෙන්න ඕනේ දැන් ඉදිරියේදී හිතමුකෝ අපි මෙහෙම දෙයක් ලෝකත් ඇත්තටම තිබිච්ච ලොකු ප්‍රශ්නයක්. So this is actually a big problem we had with previous generations. Okay, so previous generations in the sense this was back in 2006, 2004, 2006. So those days, 2003, 2004, So 2003, 2004, 2005, 2006 ඔය කාලේ we had that generation who was born in, let's say, around 50s 60s generation එක. ඒ 50s 60s generation එකේ ලොකුම ප්‍රශ්නයක් තිබුණේ they have no clue about IT. So when we created an application and when we gave that application out, like most of the people, they were really confused on what they need to do. මම උද එක්සැම්පල් එකක් කියන්න. අපි මම කලින් වැඩ කරපු කම්පැනි එකක අපි හදුවා මේ ඇප් එකක් double 80 එකට. double 80 දන්නවනේ accounts school එක double 80 එකට හදුවා. We created an application. So I was the lead developer of that application, and still they have the same website, I think. I'm not sure. So we created an app where all the exam results has to be uploaded into the app, and then people can view that by going through the website. We added some validation so that the student can't like just open it and see. He has to make sure that all the payments have been done and all the required points he has completed, and then only he can see his results. ඔන්නෝම ලස්සන ඇප් එකක් හැදුවා කොහොම රිසල්ට් බලන්න පුළුවන්. ඔය ඇප් එක හදලා දැන් ඉතින් අපි ගිහිල්ලා double 80 එකේ ඔන්න ඩිප්ලොයි කරා. So we deployed it on one of AAT servers. So I was there. So I was at the location. This was back in 2009, I think. 2009 or 2010. 2009. So I went there and I deployed that application, and I gave them the interface for them to add the data. So all they had to do was just click on one thing. It will open up a web page, and in that web page, you need to search for the student ID, and then you just need to add the marks. දැන් හරි වැඩි. ඕක ගිහිල්ලා කිව්වහම මට ගිහිල්ලා මට එකපාරට හොඳටම උඩ ගියා මේක දැක්කා. යකෝ අපි කම්පියුටර් දෙන්න හදනවා මෙතන ගිහිල්ලා මුන් පාවිච්චි කරලා තියෙන ටයිප්‍රයිටර්ස්. ඩබල් එකේ ඒ data enter කරපු අය they had no clue on how to use a simple machine. We had a massive problem and we had to do a complete training from ground up on how to use a computer. I think this was like almost 12, 13 years ago. But now you guys are actually lucky because then computer එකක් දන්නේ නැහැ කිව්වොත් එයාට ඉතින් password එකක් දීලා එළවලා දාන්න computer එකක් ගන්න දන්න තියෙන කෙනෙක් විතරක් වැඩ කරනවා කියන්නේ. දැන් ඕගලන්ට ඔය වාසිය තියෙනවා. ඉතින් හැබැයි දැන් ඕගලන් ඉස්සරහට යනකොට ලෝකේ තවත් දියුණු වෙලා තියෙනවා. So when you guys pass out, let's say next year, and by 2025, the world will be not what we see right now. Because as I told you before, we are going through an AI revolution. So this AI revolution, everybody is trying to compete with each other. Google is trying to fight with Microsoft. Microsoft is trying to fight with Apple. Everybody is competing with each other, and Amazon is also there. AWS, so everybody is competing with each other. And what is the output of competition? Obviously, it's going to take things to the next level. So they කෙනෙක් අනිත් එක්කනට හොඳට හදනවා, එයා අනිත් එක්කනට හොඳට හදනවා, අනිත් එක්කනට හොඳට හදනවා. ඔහොමම ගියාම අන්තිමට විශාල improvement එකක්, a massive improvement will be visible or will be given to us in the coming months or days or years. Okay, so when you guys finish your A levels in 2024, obviously the world will be different. මේ තියෙන එකට වඩා ගොඩාක් දියුණු වෙච්ච රටක් තියෙනවා. දියුණු වෙච්ච රටක් කෙසේදත් ලෝකයක් තියෙනවා. ඊට පස්සේ එතනින් එහාට අපිට යන්න පුළුවන් කොහොමද වෙන්නේ කියලා. ඉතින් it's really important to know that, as well as the role of technology in solving real world problems. That is also going to be a good point. In the sense, හිතන්නකෝ දැන් ඕගලන් මෙහෙම දෙයක්, you guys want to start a small business. අපි හිතමු you guys want to start a social media business එකක් පටන් ගන්නවා. So you want to start creating social media posts for companies, and you want to start a social media agency. So these are called agencies. All you need to do is, if you know how to properly use ChatGPT, you can start a business. අපි හිතමු මෙහෙම එකක්, මේ ChatGPT එකේ තියෙනවා මේ load ප්‍රශ්නය. So it says we are experiencing exceptional high demand. Anyway, let's ask a question. අපි හිතමු අපි ඕගලන්ට ඕනේ කියලා social media company. Let's say you want to start a social media company where you create social media content for companies. I'll show you an example. We want to create a social media campaign for Odell. All you need to do is ask the correct words, and this guy will tell you what is it. So write a post, write a Facebook post about the summer promotion at Odell, Sri Lanka, with a 25 off on all products. Okay, so this is the prompt. This is what I am asking the ChatGPT AI to generate. Let's see how it works. It might take, okay, see, attention shoppers, get ready for some exciting news. Hotel Sri Lanka is thrilled to announce its summer promotion where you can enjoy a whopping 25% off discount on all products. Yes, you read that right. From trendy summer outfits and stylish accessories, from home decor to all these things. So here he has generated his required QR codes as well. So now nothing to do, right? You can use this, and if you want, you can use Dolly. You can use Dolly as well. So this will literally generate images based on your requirement. I'll try to show that as well. Let's see. Okay. So we'll ask something. I know this will not be like 100% accurate, but I'll show you something. Impression a girl wearing summer call it summer clothes. Sitting sitting at a beach, enjoying a cool coconut drink. We'll see how it works. It should generate. We'll see how the girl wearing summer clothes sitting at a beach, enjoying a blue coconut drink. See. Now you have the now you have the post. Okay, so if you take this, let's say if you take this one, okay, so now you have the post, and otherwise we'll change this some clothes advertising summer wear for a clothing company. Okay, let's see how that goes on. So it will take a little bit of time. We'll see how it works. Survey is currently overloaded. So it takes some. So since a lot of people are trying to use it, you might get into hiccups like that. But let it run for a while and we'll see. Perfect. So we have our picture. So we just need to play around with this, and so now we generated the text. We have an image. We have to obviously like try a couple of options and see. But then that's it. Now you take this and you post it on your customer's Facebook. Simple as that. And you can charge at least about, let's say, you will take $1,000 a post. You have a business, right? That's the thing. So see how easy technology has given you solutions to solve real world problems. Now, earlier, if you want to get this type of text done, obviously you need to have some sort of a, let's say, some sort of a professional writer, or you need to have someone who can literally write and read and write English and who can understand what this is, right? And then in order to generate a picture like this, obviously either you'll have to go through a photo shoot or you will have to hire a model and ask them to wear some clothes. So it's going to take you a long time. Otherwise, you'll have to get a professional designer to design you this image. But now it's all being done by two websites, and you guys just saw a live example. So this was nothing planned. I just went to the website and I just ran the code and showed you guys how it works. So solving real world problems. Since you know what is IT is, then it automatically gives you the ability to solve almost all the real world problems. So then the connection between technology and globalization. So that's the part which we discussed so far, where you will get a proper and a clear connection so that you get the option to connect to the world. Okay. I hope you guys got a clear idea why you should do this and why you should learn ICT so that you can use that for the future. Okay, before we get to the who I am part, I'm just going to tell you guys one more thing. Now you guys can understand that I can properly speak Sinhala, and I use kind of like a mixed method of teaching where I explain things in Sinhala, but the main lecture is done in English because I know we are all අපේ මව භාෂාව සිංහල. මගේ මව භාෂාව සිංහල. ඉතින් අපේ ගොඩක් අයගේ මව භාෂාව සිංහල. Sadly, I can't speak Tamil, but I'm trying to learn that as well because I'm really sad that I could not learn it during my school days, but hopefully we'll be able to learn it in the coming future. So the way I explain these things are, I hope it's clear for everybody because I'm using both the languages. And if you have any questions, just feel free to ask the question. Just you don't need to raise your hand or anything. Just unmute and shoot. Disturb me anytime and ask the question. And please do ask the question with whatever the language is. It's comfortable for you. So if Sinhala is comfortable, please do ask the question in Sinhala. I don't mind. I will explain everything in both languages. So I'm going to continue the lecture like this. So I will be using Sinhala and English. I'll explain in both languages so you guys can get a clear understanding. So why I'm pushing towards the English medium and why I always say why you should do ICT in English. The main reason is අපි සිංහලෙන් නෙමෙයි code කරන්නේ. We don't code in Sinhala, right? So I'll show you guys a nice example. I'll show you a couple of examples. Now, if you take a simple code, now I'm just going to open up a development environment and I'm just going to show you a simple code. So if you open the code up, you can see that this code is entirely written in English. So if I open up a simple code file, let's say some sort of a file. So I'll try to teach you guys these concepts as well if we have like when we go through its specific modules, because we have a PHP module as well. Hopefully we'll be so when we are going through the PHP module, I'll teach you guys what this is and how it works. But what the point I wanted to show you was you code in English. You're not using any other language to code, right? So do you think learning ICT in Sinhala will give you any advantage when it comes to actual application development and if you're trying to become a software engineer? A question to think about. මොකද මම හැම වෙලාවෙම කියන දෙයක් තමයි මම දැකලා තිනවා ගොඩක් students ලගේ while I was teaching at Kalani and Moratuwa, I have personally noticed that there were many students who has done ICT, A-level ICT in Sinhala, and they had no clue on what they need to do. So they were going through a massive hard time because they had to learn everything, like what this is. So this is a variable. You call this a variable, right? So you can't call this with any other name. So you call this a function. You call this a parameter, which you extend or which you pass into the function. This is called a string. This is called a return statement. This is called a controller, and this is called a class. So remember, that's the reason I'm pushing you guys towards this thing, towards the English medium. Always make sure that there is no point doing A-level ICT in Sinhala. කොච්චර ක්ලාස් කියත් කොහොම කරත් ඔයගොල්ලන් එක්සෑම් එක කොට දාගන්න නම් කොට දාගන්න කිසිම ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. හැබැයි ඒ එක්සෑම් එක කොට දාගන්න විතරක් කියලා ICT කරන්න එපා. ඒක තමයි මගේ තියෙන ලොකුම පොයින්ට් එක. මොකද ඔයා සයන්ස් කරන්නේ එක්සෑම් එක කොට දාගන්න නෙමෙයිනේ. සයන්ස් කරන්නේ පාස් වෙන්න. මැත්ස් කරනවා නම් මැත්ස් කරන්න එක්සෑම් එක කොට දාගන්න නෙවෙයිනේ මැත්ස් කරන්නේ පාස් වෙලා ඉදිරියට යන්න. නැතුව මේ අද එක්සෑම් එක පාස් වෙලා මම ඒකක් දාගත්තා කියන නෙමෙයි. හරි. ඔයා කොමර්ස් කරනවා නම් කොමර්ස් කරලා බිස්නස් ස්ටඩීස් ඉගෙනගෙන ඉකොනොමික්ස් ඉගෙනගෙන accounts ඉගෙන ගන්නේ ජොලියට නෙවෙයිනේ. ඒකක් දාගන්න නෙවෙයිනේ. ඊට පස්සේ ඔයා accounts field එකේ ඉදිරියට යන්න. ඒකනේ හේතුව. ඉතින් IT ඉගෙන ගන්න එක ඒක ජොලියට ඉගෙන ගන්න එපා. මොකද ඉදිරියේදී මම අර මුලදී explain කරා වගේ as I explained to you at the beginning of this lecture, don't do IT for the just for the sake of doing it because this will be part of your life. Just remember, as I told you guys today, this is going to be part of your life because whatever you do, you will need to know ICT and how IT works in the next future, which you guys are going to. So for us, it's okay because now we are in the peak of the technology. So now whatever comes or whatever is thrown towards us, we have the capacity to take it in. ඉතින් ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ යාළුවන්ට මේක කියන්න පුළුවන් නම් කියන්න. ඇත්තටම ICT සිංහලෙන් කරන එකේ කිසිම තේරුමක් නැහැ. ඒක ඉගෙන ගන්න එක තේරුමකුත් නැහැ. මොකද ඔයගොල්ලන්ටම තමයි හිර වෙන්නේ when you start coding. When you come for an interview, if you come for an interview at my company and if I get you in front of me, I will obviously ask you the questions in English, not in Sinhala, because you will be working with customers who speak English. Okay, so if you learn this in Sinhala, you can't actually literally work with those customers. There's no point. හරි. Okay. මම හිතලා point එක ඔයගලන්ට ඔලුවට ගියා කියලා තේරුණා. හරි. අපි මේක ටක් ගාලා මේක through යන් මොකද්ද මේ කියන එක කියන්නේ. Who am I කියන එක. මේක මම මගේ physical classes වලට මම ළමයින්ගෙන් මේක ප්‍රශ්නයක් අහලා පොඩි different. I do this in a different way, but since it's the Zoom class, I'm just going to explain this what these points are so that you guys can get an idea and you can evaluate yourself with those points which I trying to explain. Number one, identify personal strengths and weaknesses to help define one's professional identity. මේක තමයි මෙතන පොඩි ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවා. මේ ප්‍රශ්නේ තමයි මේක ගොඩක් වෙලාවට ළමයි මේක ගොඩක් වෙලාවට ඕගලන්ට මුලදී තේරෙන්නේ නැති ප්‍රශ්නයක්. හැබැයි මේක පස්සේ තේරෙනකොට පරක්කු වෙනවා. So this is something which you won't understand at the beginning, but later on when you understand it, it might be too late for you. Okay, so the idea behind this is first identify your strength and weaknesses. So personally, in my case, I was not a good person, or I was not good with mathematics when I was doing my O levels. මට maths එපා වෙලා හිටියේ. maths කියන එක මට පෙන්නන්න බැරි subject එකක් කියලා හිටියා. And then I was able to understand that the reason I didn't like maths was because I was never properly taught maths on how to do that in a fun way. I think on the වෙලාවට I found a sir called JC Fernando. JC Fernando ගාවට ගියාම මිනිහා maths ඉගෙනුවා මාර වෙනම විදියට. මාර අරුම sir කෙනෙක්. So he completely changed my vision and the attitude I had towards maths. And then with his support, I was able to pass my O levels and මම 9 වසරේ maths වලට මට තිබුණේ ලකුණු 5යි 10යි කෙලින් fail. O level වලදී he was there to help me out, and for A levels I did maths. Okay, so I had my personal weakness in that point, but then I found out that my weakness was because I have never been taught that in a proper way, so I could have understand it easily. ඉතින් එක එක්කෙනාගේ teaching methods වලින් එක එක්කෙනාට ඒක උගන්වන විදියයි තේරුම් ගන්න විදියයි වෙනස් වෙනවා. So ඕගොල්ලන්ගේ එක දැනගන්න ඕනේ. So තමන්ගේ strength and weaknesses තේරුම් ගන්න එක ලොකු දෙයක්. And you have to තව point එකක්. Now, this is a question which most people ask me during lectures, and I get a lot of messages asking this particular question from students where they ask, sir, is there a point doing A levels? Oh, in Sinhala, sir, A level kalla වැඩක් තියෙනවා. I don't want to do A levels. I want to start a business. So මට business එකක් පටන් ගන්න ඕනේ. A level කළා වැඩක් නැහැ කියලා හිතෙනවා. කොහොම messages එනවා සෑහෙන්න ගොඩක් මට. I get like at least I get about 2-3 messages a day asking something like this. So this is I get messages from university students as well. So because I used to get messages from university students where they ask, sir, මට මේක කළා එපා වෙලා මට මේක තේරුම් ගන්න නැහැ. I want to drop out. මම හැමෝටම කියනවා එක answer එකක්. Okay, so the reply I tell everybody is, if you don't want to do this, yes, හොඳම option එක drop out. Don't do it. If you don't feel that there's a point doing A level or going to a university or getting a degree, then of course drop out. Don't do it. But keep in mind, you need to have a proper idea where you plan to go. Drop out and come on now. A level කරන්න ඕනත් කරන්න එපා. Campus යන්න ඕන යන්න එපා. හැබැයි plan එකක් තියාගන්න ඔයා campus යන්න නැති වුනහම ඔයා මොකද ඉස්සරහට කරන්නේ? So example is, okay, so if you are not planning to go to campus, or if you are not planning to do a degree, then what is your revenue model? ඔයා කොහොමද සල්ලි හම්බ කරන්නේ? මොකද්ද plan එක? Business කරනවා. කරමු business. What type of business you are planning to do? මොකද්ද ඔයා කරන්න හදන business එක? What is the income of that business? What is your expected income of that business? මොකද්ද business එකේ model එක? I ask all those questions from them. And then most of them, about 99% of them, cannot give a correct answer for that. Then the best option is do the freaking A levels and get to the next step. ලෝකෙ මිනිස්සු ජාති දෙකක් ඉන්නවා. එකක් ඉන්නවා ඕගලන්ට පුළුවන් drop out වෙලා Steve Jobs වගේ කට්ටියක් ඉන්නවා. ඒගොල්ලන් හොඳට ඉගෙන ගත්ත මිනිස්සු campus එකෙන් drop out වුණා. campus එකෙන් drop out වෙලා ඒ drop out වෙන එකම හේතුව එයාට එයාගේ vision එකක් තිබුණා. එයාට එයාගේ vision නැති වුණා. එයා Apple එක පටන් ගත්තා. Steve Jobs had a great vision that he wanted every normal person to have a personal computer. So if Steve Jobs didn't start Apple computers back in 1980s, we would not have this discussion right now. So we all know that you guys are using mobile phones, you might be using Windows or any sort of a operating system. But actually the core idea behind this was because one person, this Steve Jobs, thought of creating a personal computer. ඉතින් ඒ වගේ idea එකක් තියෙනවා නම් අම්බෝ කරන්න. ඉහන්න ඔක්කොම වැඩ ටික නවත්තලා ඒක කරන්න. ඕගලන්ට financially support එකක් ඕන නම් ඒකත් මගෙන් ඉල්ලන්න මම හරි support කරන්න. If you have a nice idea, multi-million dollar idea, බහලා කරමු. Otherwise, do your A levels, pass it in a proper way. Then either if you get a chance to go to a government university, then yes. Otherwise, there are multiple career opportunities available. I'm going to help you guys with those career opportunities as well, since I have connections almost with all the universities and private bodies in Sri Lanka. I can obviously give you guys a push, and I can advise you all to start off with a different career path as well. So that is of IT. IT වලින් එහා ඒවා මම දන්නේ නැහැ. IT වලට සම්බන්ධ ඕනෑම career path එක මට උගුණට හදලා දෙන්න පුළුවන්. So that is something you need to do. So back to the topic, understanding your values. This is the one which I explained right now, understanding personal values and how they align with your career goals in IT. ඔයා බලන්න ඕනේ වාගේ goal එක කොහොමද හදන්නේ කියලා. ඉතින් මම කලින් කිව්වා, okay, if you drop out from A level or let's say, campus and do your own thing, then of course align a specific career goal to it. In the sense, now let's say, ඔයගලන්ට නවත්තලා ඔයාට IT business එක පටන් ගන්න. Sure thing කරන්න. මම මගේ company එක start කරේ when I was in grade 9. So I started my company, but I did everything parallelly. I ran my company. We developed websites and we did company products, videos, and all these things. This was back in early 2000s. Huh? ගොඩක් කාලයකට කලින් මේ ඒ කාලේ කරේ. ඉතින් still I was able to finish my A levels and sadly I was not able to go to a government university, but my parents were able to put me to a private uni, which paved the path to this career. ඉතින් ඒක තියෙනවා. අනිත් එක exploring different career paths within the IT industry to find the best fit. මම අර කලින් explain කරපු point එක තමයි මේක. The point where what I explained at the beginning, where this is the point where you will tend to find different career paths based on your available trying to get different career paths based on your available or based on your goal. ඒ කියන්නේ දැන් ඔයා commerce කරන student කෙනෙක් නම් ඔයාට commerce වලින් කොහොමද ඉස්සරහට යන්නේ? නැත්නම් ඔයා art කරපු student කෙනෙක් නම් art වලින් කියන්නේ හිතන්න music කරා නම් music වලින්. ඒ වගේ you can actually explore different career paths where you can go forward with. And then short term and long term career goals, obviously this is something which I do when we are going through the revision lectures at the end of the year, so that we will basically create some goals based on your ideas of how you want to go forward, and we can do all this. So conducting SWOT analysis and all these things is not directly related to you guys, but of course you can do this where you analyze yourself and you have to think about what I am good at. මම මොකද්ද කරන්න හොඳ? මම සින්දු කියන්න හොඳද? එහෙනම් පින්සිද්දේ සින්දු කියන්න. මම කෝඩ් කරන්න හොඳද? එහෙනම් පින්සිද්දේ කෝඩ් කරන්න. නැත්තම් මම ගණන් හදන්න හොඳද? ගණන් හදන්න කෙලින්ම මේ පාත් එකේ යන්න. ඒ වගේ ඔයා හොයාගන්න ඕනේ ඔයාගේ මොකද්ද හොඳ නැති කියන එක. ඊට පස්සේ ඔයාට ඒක ඕන විදිහට හදන්න. ඒ වගේම මේ අනිත් point එක seeking feedback from peers, mentors and professionals. So this is also something you as students, children, you really need to follow, because there are peers and mentors and professionals which you can easily meet up with and ask for details, because you can ask them experiences and you can ask them details on how to get or how to gain the required knowledge on going forward. So ඒ ටික හරියටම ඔයගොල්ලන් align කරගන්න ඕනේ. ඒ ටිකෙන් ඔයගලන්ට ලොකු boost එකක් ගන්න. අනිත් එක exploring personal interests and hobbies is also a good way to find and merge them with the IT career. ඒ කියන්නේ මෙහෙම එකක් දැන් robotics. There's a big boost in robotics market in Sri Lanka right now. So you can buy almost anything you need. Robotics කියන්නේ අපිට ගන්න පුළුවන්. දැන් example එකකට we have this shop called Tronics in Kohuwala. They basically sell all the robo parts like controllers, these motion sensors, motors, the battery, the controlling bodies, the Raspberry Pis, and so it's going to give you guys a good boost then to move on to the next step. You think okay, so මම යන්න ඊළඟ මේකට slide එකට. Objectives of the subject. ඉතින් මම මේ slides වල තිබුණ දේවල් තිබ්බට I actually explained most of the things when we were going through the first slide. So these are the specific objectives which has been defined by the government of Sri Lanka, the education ministry, to this particular subject. So it starts from establish the foundation of ICT education leading to higher education. So that is the main point which I'm going to focus on, strictly focus on, because whatever I teach you guys, I'm going to teach you with real world examples. මම ඔයගලන්ට උගන්වන ඕනෙම දෙයක් මම උගන්වන්නේ ඇත්තටම ලෝකේ දැන් පාවිච්චි වෙන විදිහට. මොකද මම software background එකේ එනවා. We are like normally we push out at least about 10-15 applications out a month. So we work with multiple vast array of customers like medicine, e-commerce, CRMs, and all sorts of things. So obviously, I'm going to give all this knowledge to you right out as it is so that you guys can understand how the industry actually works. අපි ප්‍රැක්ටිකල් ක්ලාස් එක කරන් අපි බලමු ෆිසිකල් ක්ලාස් එකක කොහොම වේද කියලා. මොකද ෆිසිකල් ක්ලාස් එකේ I normally like time to time I bring someone from my office or someone from a work environment so that he will explain you guys what type of things you can do and so forth. So we'll get to that. And then the second point, which is given to us by the government, is establish the foundation to build up their professional career. So obviously, the whole idea behind this is to help you guys, help all the students to build your professional career so that you can get into the IT industry. Produce entry-level ICT human resources required for the industry. ඕක තමයි මට ඉස්සෙල්ලම කරන්න. මම ඒක තමයි මුලදීම කිව්වේ. මට මේ වෙලාවේ මට රික්වයර්මන්ට් එකක් තියෙනවා ෆ්‍රෙන්ච් කතා කරන software engineer කෙනෙක්ට. මේ වෙලාවේ මට ওই රික්වයර්මන්ට් එක දැන් තිබුණා දැන් මාස ගාණක් තිස්සේ. Still I couldn't find a proper guy or a girl who can speak French and who can code. Very sad to see that, right? Because people, as far as I know, most of the students, like there's a vast group of students who do languages for their A levels and who follow French, but sadly these guys don't do the ICT and all, and they don't get into the IT market. If I can find a developer, I can easily get him, even an intern, I can get him in for a good salary. I'm not going to say numbers, but I can obviously give you a salary which is more than the market range because we have an urgent requirement. ඉතින් මගේ main goal එක තියෙන්නේ ඕගලන්ට අන්නේ industry system එකට හදන්න. මොකද අපි පස්සේ අපි වෙන වෙනම කතා කරමු. ඕගලන් මොනවද කරන backgrounds උයි, ඕගලන් science ද maths ද commerce ද කොහොමද කරන්න කියලා. එතකොට මම ඕගලන්ට specifically with your parents, of course, we can have a chat and I can basically show you a path where if you're planning to go forward with ICT into the IT field, of course, I can show you the path on where you want to go. ඊට පස්සේ enable to use ICT effectively in achieving sustainable development goals. Yes, so this is something which we discussed before. Provide students with ICT knowledge to improve the quality of life in general. This is what we are doing right now. Provide awareness of the importance of computer networking and communication. So going through the networking and communication module, I'm going to take you guys a good roller coaster ride. On the roller coaster ride එක මම ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ ගෙනියනවා. මොකද networking කියන එක මාර interesting subject එක. networking වල ඕගොල්ලන් note කරලා ඇති කතා වෙනවා cables ගැනයි networks ගැනයි ඔහොම. networking පටන් ගන්න ඕනේ ඕගොල්ලන් දන්න භාෂාවෙන් මන්නකි. අපි මොකක්ද දැන් ඕගොල්ලන් ගොඩක්ම දන්න භාෂාව මම හිතනවා මෙතන I think we have some online gamers here. So I'll be tackling this subject with getting into those type of networks. So we'll go in depth on how these games work and how these network connections are there. And obviously we'll go aligned with the A-level paper. So අපි මොනවා ඉගෙන ගත්තත් අන්තිමට A level paper එකේ හරියටම එන්න ඕනේ points ටික තමයි අපි cover කරන්නේ. So we'll see that, but obviously we are going to go on a good roller coaster ride when it comes to the networking and communication part, because I'm a professional network technician and I have this networking background for almost, I've been working with different types of digital and physical networks for the last 10-15 years. So I can give you guys a nice ride on that. අපි බලමු ඕගොල්ලෝ මේ data වැඩ කරන හැටි ගේමින් වලින් තමයි networking කියන එක හොඳටම ඉගෙන ගන්න පුළුවන් point එක. Okay, so the next point, improve the skills required for the development of ICT based solutions for real world problems. So during this module, during your A level subject, we will be covering up 3 major programming languages. One is Python, other one is PHP, and other one is HTML. So Python, PHP, and HTML, these will be used mostly throughout almost all the sessions. So මම දන්නේ ඔයගලන්ට ඉස්කෝලේ කොහොමද මේක උගන්වන්නේ කියලා. මොකද අලුත් සිලබස් එකේ තියෙනවා PHP ඔය Python වලටයි වෙනම ලොකු මොඩියුල්ස් දෙකක්. ඒකේ කොටින්ම කිව්වොත් ඔයගලන්ට තියෙනවා ටීචර්ස් ගයිඩ්ස් එකේ තියෙන එක. හරිද? සිලබස් එකේ තියෙනවා ඕගලන්ට PHP වලින් complete app එකක් develop කරන්න. database එකක් connect කරලා. So I'll explain it again in English. So in PHP, you have a big module where you have to develop a web application based on PHP, where you will connect a database, retrieve some data, and display it on a website. And you have to run that using a web server as well. I'm pretty sure at your schools, nobody will be able to do that because you're not taking your PCs to the school, as well as most of the school does not have a lecturer or person to teach it properly. So you guys have everything. So this module, I'll share this PDF file with you guys as well, so you can go through it and see for yourself. අපේ තියෙන අලුත් syllabus එකේ with the new syllabus, if that syllabus is actually tough than one of the syllabuses which I teach at one of the private universities I teach for the moment. I'm not going to say the name because I teach at a couple of private universities as visiting lecturer. So A-level BSc එකට වඩා A-level syllabus එක අමාරුයි. අමාරු නෙවෙයි. A-level syllabus එකේ දේවල් තියෙනවා ඉගෙන ගන්න. BSc එකේ කියන්නේ BSc එකේ second year ඉගෙන ගන්න දේවල් ඕගලන් මේ 12 වසරේ 13 වසරේ කරනවා. ඉතින් හිතන්න කොච්චර powerful ද කියලා. So that's what I'm trying to emphasize this point, because if you do your ICTs correctly, I can literally hire you as a developer. Seriously, it's 100%. Anybody, any software company should be able to hire you as an intern developer while you do your degree at a university or at, let's say, open university or some open university or government or at a private university, because ICT basically puts the entire A-level ICT syllabus, gives you the entire required foundation to get your work done. So I hope it's clear. So last 2 points, can enable to use ICT for innovation and researchers, and develop appreciation of the role of ICT in a knowledge-based society. Okay. So now we went through why you need to learn ICT, and I taught you guys the benefits of learning ICT and about the field which you guys got into, and where you want to go next. Okay, so I hope you guys have a clear idea what I'm explaining and what the journey we have started together. Okay, so මේක අනිත් subjects වල නම් හරි straight forward නේ. දැන් අපි maths ගත්තොත් maths වල තියෙනවා straight forward topics ටිකක් ඔතන කරා දැම්ම ඉවරයි. But the problem is you can't do ICT like you do maths or science, because ICT is kind of like related to a science, but it's more practical, because whatever you do here is connected to an action which you will do next, or which you will have to do when you get into the actual ICT field. ඉතින් ඕක තමයි basic idea එක. ඒක ඉගෙන ගත්තොත් ඔයගලන්ට හරිය ලේසි ඉස්සරහට යන්න. හරි. Okay. So the teaching mechanism. Okay. So since I am teaching this particular module in a different way, I'm just going to show you guys the base of the entire module. දැන් මම මේක උගන්වන්නේ ටිකක් වෙනස් විදිහකට උගන්වන්න. හරිද? අර normal simple විදිහට හදන්නේ නැහැ. මම කොහොමද tute එක අපි දැන් අපි data structures අපි introduction to computing module එක පටන් ගන්නකොට I'll share the PDF file with you next week. The actual tute which we are going to start. Today is kind of like the introduction where I want to show you what are the modules we have and how big of a system we are looking at. What are the පෙන්නන්න ඕනේ මේක වැඩ කරන විදිය. ඉතින් the method I teach you. මම උගන්වන විදිය චුට්ටක් වෙනස් අනිත් lecturers ට. වෙනස් කියන්නේ I'm going to teach you in a way where it will involve a lot of graphical representations. In the sense, now if we take the data module එකේ ඔයගලන්ට ලියා ගන්න දේවල් තියෙනවා ඕනේ තරම් ලියන්න ඕනේ අනිවාර්යෙන්. හැබැයි mainly the way I will teach you is using graphical representations and descriptions, so that you guys will be so that it will be easy for you guys to understand and plan where you are. මේක මේ ඉගෙන ගන්න ඇත්තටම ඉගෙන ගන්න විදිහක්. ඉතින් මේකට කියන්නේ mind maps කියලා. Mind map කියලා. So this is all called the mind map. Mind map එකක point එක තියෙන්නේ දැන් ඕගොල්ලෝ short note ගහන්නේ තියාගෙන short note එකක් අපි short notes හදනවා කියලා දෙයක් තියෙනවානේ. අපි කරනවා short note එකක් අරගෙන ඒ short note එක අපි පොඩියට topic එකක් දාලා short note එක ලියනවා. Mind map එකක් කියන්නේ something similar to a short note. Okay? How it works is you create a visual representation of the data, so that you can, at the first glance, you can see what this is, and you can immediately learn the rest of the points which you need to follow. Okay? දැන් මම ඔයගලන්ට පෙන්නන්න හදන එක එකපාරට දැකලා බය වෙන්න එපා. මේක ටිකක් මකුළු එකක් වගේ. So don't get confused or scared when you see this. It's kind of like a big spider, but it has different arms, and this basically has the entire A-level syllabus in one view. Okay, so how I'm doing this is I'm using a software called Mind Node, which will show you a complete representation. So let's see what this is. Okay, so I just zoomed out everything. Now what you can see is this is the entire A-level syllabus. Okay, this is the entire A-level syllabus for ICT, Information and Communication Technology. And for the moment, I added all the sub-elements for the first module. So we'll just go through the modules first. So the first module is we go through the basic concepts of ICT. I'm pretty sure you guys might have started this, and if you're attending another class or you started another class, obviously they might have either completed the module, or they might be still going through this particular module. So that's the first part. And then we have these set of modules. So the second is Introduction to Computer. Third is Data Representation. Fourth is Fundamental of Digital Circuits. This is where we learn about Booleans, logic gates, and this is kind of like the point where you guys need to do some calculations and all. And data representation also, there are some calculations, but fundamentals of digital circuits, obviously, it involves a lot of calculations and things. So just to help you guys out, I will show you guys like couple of different like easy methods to do all these calculations in a way so that you can remember how it's been done using the gates and all. And I will show you some quick like uh, tips and tricks as well. So for people who are doing art subjects, this is the part you need to put some gravity towards ටිකක් කර බර කරලා කරන්න ඕනේ මොඩියුල් එකක් කියලා කියන්නේ අන්න ඒ වගේ මේක ටිකක් බර කරන්න ඕනේ මොකද මේකේ තියෙනවා calculations ටික this is where you have some the calculation, so that is something you have to give some at least some priority because this this has, let's say, give or take, it will give you at least about 20 plus marks by this module itself. මොකද මේක අමාරු නිසා මේකෙන් ප්‍රශ්න එනවා සෑහෙන්න. ඒක නිසා you guys need to make sure that you cover that up. Then we have the fifth module called computer operating system, which is going to be the simplest module. මේක හරිම simple, මේක OS වැඩ කරන හැටි නම් මම ටිකක් ඉගෙන ගන්න. Then we have the data communication and networking. So this is going to be one of the interesting modules. This is so here I will obviously show you guys by using some actual applications and data systems, as well as I'll teach you guys some specific security precautions and security measures we take as in a company. And we'll go through some of the applications on the internet, like how to track this. හොරෙන් ඉන්ටර්නෙට් ගහන්නේම කොහොමද කියලා බලන්න කාටවත් අහුවෙන්නේ නැති අන්න ඔය වගේ there are multiple different types of networks where you can control how torrents work and all these things. And of course, I will teach you guys a little bit of something with the blockchain as well, because there is a point where you guys need to talk about that also. Okay, so that's for the sixth module, and seventh module is system analysis and design. So this is going to be a module where we will be discussing a lot related to businesses and how systems are being created. In the sense, now mainly there are multiple different ways you can create a business. There are some methodologies, which is going to be a question in your paper, and as well as there are like different analyzing systems, as well as there are different ways to characterize businesses and systems into different components. I සිංහලෙන් කියනවා නම් system analysis and design එකේ අපි ගොඩක්ම කතා කරනවා businesses උයි systems උයි data models උයි functions උයි හැදිලා තියෙන විදිය. ඒ කියන්නේ කොහොමද system එකක් හැදිලා තියෙන්නේ? කොහොමද අපි system එක design කරන්නේ? කොහොමද system එක develop කරන්නේ? කොහොමද system එක test කරන්නේ? කොහොමද system එක deploy කරන්නේ? So for this module, I'm planning to give you guys an official office tour. So where you guys will have to come to the office, come to my office or to a different location. I'll tell you guys when we are going through this, but I think we might capture this by in about 4-5 months time. So about 4 or 5 months time, we'll be able to get into this point. At that point, I will ask you guys to come to a specific office. So it can be one of the IT companies which is around Colombo, or obviously it's going to be a big IT company, and I will give you guys like a company tour, and then at that particular location we will cover some points of this module. Okay, so I really want you guys to really feel how it's like to work for a company and how these companies work with these environments and so on and so forth. Okay, so this is going to be the interesting module for you guys because obviously there's going to be the field visits. And of course, tell your friends as well because if you have friends who has an interest towards like working at a software company, කොයි හරි company එක ලොකු තරක වැඩ කරන්න ආසාවක් තියෙන කවුරු ඉන්නවා නම් කියන්න අනිත් එක ඔයගලන්ට බලන්න යන්න company එකක් බලන්න යන්න ආස company එකක් තියෙනවා නම් ඒකත් මට කියන්න because I can most probably arrange. Otherwise, I will either bring you guys to my company or will go to one of the big companies like CMS or Creative Solutions or some place like that. So that depends on the number of students I had as well as depends on the place. But anyway, කවුරු හිටියත් ඔය හරි ඔය මොඩියුල් එකේ 7යි 8යි 9යි ඔය තුන අපි කරන්නේ කොයි හරි කම්පැනි එකක ගිහිල්ලා company demonstration එකක් එක්ක because I want you guys to really feel how this whole system works. මොකද ඔයගලන් කම්පැනි එකක ඇවිල්ලා ඔක දැක්ක හැටි ඔයගලන්ට අනිවාර්යෙන් software field එකේ වැඩ කරන්න ආස හිතෙන එක හිතනවාම තමයි. So I'll make sure that you guys go through it. And then the 8th module, we get into database management, where we go through data, describing of data, how to analyze data, how to create the conceptual schemas of data. මේ වචන අහුනට බය වෙන්න එපා. මේක ඉතිරියේදී අපි හරිම සිම්පල් විදිහට කතා කරනවා. So the idea behind this is අපි database එකක් හදන හැටි කතා කරලා and then we will go through the entire process of finding what are the data points you need to put into the database and අපි tables හදලා ඒ tables query කරලා ඒ වල data ටික ගන්න හැටි අපි කතා කරනවා. ඔය module එකේනොත් අනිවාර්යෙන් ප්‍රශ්න set එකක් එන එක එනවම තමයි. ඒක නිසා ඕකත් හොඳට මතක තියාගන්න ඕනේ. And guys remember this database module is something you cannot learn by writing stuff in a book. ඕගොල්ලන් කොච්චර ගිහිල්ලා නෝට් පිරෙව්වත් කොච්චර ගිහිල්ලා ටියුබ් පිරෙව්වත් කොච්චර ගිහිල්ලා විද්‍ය ලිව්වත් ඕක ඔයාට ඕක ඔළුවට යන්න ඔයා ඕක කරන්නම ඕනේ. So that's why I encourage my students. So during my physical classes I used to tell people to bring the laptops, but when it's going to be a large class, that's not going to be possible. But I will guide you guys personally so that I want you guys to install MySQL or some sort of an SQL in your machine, and then I want you to try this out. මම guide කරන්නම් install කරන්න හැටි. දැන් මේ class එක අපි පොඩි class එකක් නිසා මට ඔයගලන්ට පුළුවන් guide කරලා හරියටම පෙන්නන්න මෙහෙම කරන්න කියලා session එකක් දාලා Zoom හරි Skype හරි කොහොම හරි ඉතින් අපි කතා කරලා I'll show you guys how to set this thing up. So I want you to install MySQL and මේක set up කරලා ගන්න පුළුවන්. machine එක මොනවා වුණත් කමක් නැහැ. පොඩි machine එකක් වුණත් then I'll show you a different way to do this. ඒ කියන්නේ machine එකේ performance අඩුයි කියලා කියමුකෝ. කිසි දෙයකට බය වෙන්න එපා. මම ඒකේ ඔයගලන්ට කියලා දෙන්නම්. හරිම ලේසි විදිහක් database එක set up කරලා query එකක් run කරලා බලන්න. එතකොට මේ part එක done. Okay, then we get into the next part. This is where things get real. On the programming module එක. මේක ඇත්තටම මේක අන්තිමට දාලා තියෙන හේතුවක් තියෙනවා. මේක අන්තිමට දාලා තියෙන හේතුව if you go back to the tree, you guys can see how it works, right? So ඉස්සෙල්ලාම අපි ඉගෙන ගන්නවා basic concepts ටික. ඔන්න ඊට පස්සේ we do introduction to computer, then data representations. මෙතන ඔයා ඉගෙන ගන්නවා මේ data කියන්නේ මොනවද කියන එක, data කොහොමද තියෙන්නේ කියන එක, data save කරන හැටි ඒ ටික. ඊට පස්සේ අපි ඉගෙන ගන්නවා ඔන්න data තිබුණා, then we learn about the fundamental parts of digital circuits. So we have the data and we learn how the digital circuits work. With the connection of data and the digital circuits, then we get the computer operating system, right? So the computer system runs on top of circuits and using data storage systems. And then we get into the network and communication. ඔන්න ඒකත් ඉගෙන ගත්තට පස්සේ ඔන්න අපි එනවා බිස්නස් එක ඩිසයින් කරන පාර්ට් එකට. මෙතන තමයි අපි හදන්නේ ඇත්තටම බිස්නස් එකක් කොහොමද වෙන්නේ කියලා ඉගෙන ගන්න. එතන තමයි අපි බිස්නස් එක හදන හැටි ඉගෙන ගන්න. How you create the design of the particular business and how you go through this. Then once the design is done, we have to plan the database. So we create the database and we create the data structures, and then we start getting our hands dirty with programming. So with programming, I will obviously take you guys through the structures and how it works. So we'll be using two major languages. One is Python and the other one is PHP. So that these will be the main programming languages, and we'll obviously take HTML as well. We'll just touch the basic parts of HTML at this point, because after this, after you create your data structures and after you connect your database and once you get everything done, then we go into the next part where we discuss about web development. So this web development is going to be an interesting topic. So for you guys also, it's going to be pretty interesting, because I'm coming from a web development company, one of the trending and popular web development company. So we have multiple projects in Sri Lanka, which I can literally show you guys real world projects and how it works, how people react, how people work with the system, and how things work. So because of that reason, it's going to be really interesting for you guys. And during the web development session, I am planning to take you guys into another field trip if it is possible. That is depending on the time, because by the time we get into this, we will be starting revision classes as well. That's the reason. So we have to time it properly, because by the time we finish up web development and the time we start Internet of Things, we will be starting the revision classes back again. So because of that reason, we need to make sure that we will have enough time for that. But obviously, even if we have enough time, either I have planned to bring someone into this particular lecture so that they will teach you some HTML concepts and the latest technologies behind HTML, or how it works and something like that. Or you guys will get the chance to visit either my office or a different office, where you guys will able to see how these HTML pages are being created. So it's kind of like you will get the option to work with a developer or work next to a developer and to understand how things work. So this one is a promise which I'm going to make you guys, this one. So when we go through this, obviously there will be a field trip, but for the web development part, it will depend on the time we have next year, based on the time and the availability. And then we have the 11th module, which is going to be the Internet of Things. So Internet of Things will be focusing on mostly embedded systems and all the opportunities and applications and hardware which you have with IoT concepts. In the sense, in this stage, we will be discussing this remote applications and all these hardware components like Raspberry Pis and all, where how you can create the architectures using Raspberry Pis, where you get the Raspberry Pi software or that hardware piece and program something to it, and what other things you can do for it. So we don't get a lot of questions based on Internet of Things. So mostly these are MCQ questions and all, but you guys need to keep in mind that you guys need to know the theories for that. And then we get into ICT in business. So explores the role of ICT and analyze the relationship between ICT and business and all. So this is also again going to be a simple topic because ICT in business will be discussed when we are going through system analysis and design. Because now, yes, this is the structure which has been created by the government, the education ministry. But in real world scenarios, you literally analyze the business and you explore the role of ICT in a business when you try to build an application. So when you're going through the analyzing phase, of course, you obviously need to go through this and you need to understand what's the relationship between the ICT solution and between your business. So that's going to be the connection we'll be working on while we going through this module. And then we have the new trends and future directions of ICT, where we'll be discussing the points. We'll be discussing the points on the cloud computing, blockchains, and whatnot, all the latest technologies. And by the time we go through this module, we might have some new technological advances as well. So it depends. We'll have to see. And then for your when you're doing this at school, then obviously the project is also there. So you're not going to do a project, but the project component and the module is also there. Okay, so that is an explanation of the entire. So this is the view of the entire representation of your module of your ICT subject. So let's go to the first branch of basic concepts of ICT. So now children, when we go to this, now you guys can see that we have a couple of levels going in, right? So we'll start from the top. So we'll start from the first one. So the first point will be investigates the basic building blocks of information and their characteristics. So here at this point, so this will be our next session. So we will be starting from this next week. So in this particular case, we will be discussing the data creation part, data management, removal of obsolete data, and what's the difference between data and information, definition of information, and we'll be going through characteristics of valuable information and this large volumes of data and understanding what data is. සිංහලෙන් සිම්පල් විදිහට කියනවා නම් අපි ඉගෙන ගන්න ඕනේ dataයි information නුයි කියන්නේ මොකක්ද කියලා. මම මේ දෙකට සිංහල වචනේ මම මේ දෙකට කියන සිංහල වචනේවත් ඔයගලන්ට කියන්නේ නැහැ. මොකද ඒක සිංහල වචනයක්වත් ඉගෙන ගන්න එපා. ඒකට ඕකට සිංහල වචන දෙකක් කියනවා. හරිම අමුතු වචන දෙකක්. ඒ දෙක කියන්නවත් ඉගෙන ගන්න එපා because you won't be using that in your never in your life. Only I think it will be used in your paper, right? ඒක නිසා ඉගෙන ගන්නත් එපා. data information මේ කියන්නේ මොකක්ද කියන එක අපි හරියට ඉගෙන ගන්න එක තමයි අපේ goal එක වෙන්නේ මේ first module එකේ. So we'll go in depth and analyze what data is and what information is, how data is created and from what data will be derived from. අපි ඒක ඉගෙන ගමු. මම කලින් කිව්වා වගේ මම මේවල සිංහල වචන මම පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ නැහැ. මම හරි ටර්ම් එකම කියනවා. The reason I do that is I want you guys to like focus on the English part. Even if you learn this in English, you can easily do the Sinhala paper because in the Sinhala paper that English word is mentioned. Up to some extent it is mentioned. But you need to learn the English word. Okay, so the second one will be investigation of the needs of technology to create and disseminate and manage data and information. So, what is this? It's basically how to find information, on day-to-day life and how to plan it. And then we'll discuss what are the methods of manipulating and using data. And then we'll go through few facts about usage of data in different domains and the availability of different technologies related to information and sharing, what is the internet, www, and so on and so forth. So this will be like a discussion where we go through few points, and obviously when we do this, students, we will obviously go through some of the papers and paper questions as well, because I will show you guys some sample questions and give you guys sample questions so that it will make you prepare for the exam. Then the third point, formulates an abstract model of information creation and evaluates its compliance with ICT. මේ වචන කියන බර වචන තමයි. හැබැයි මේක මේ මම කියලා දෙන්න හරි සිම්පල් විදියට. ඒක වෙන්නේ මේ input out සිංහලෙන් සිම්පල් විදියට කියනවා නම් input output එකයි ඒක process කරන හැටි. ඒක කොහොමද computer එකකින් ඒක වෙන්නේ කියන එක. So the words how they have put it's a little bit confusing, but I'll explain that in a very simple way. Then we have the selects and classifies basic components of a computer system. On a simple edit, ඔයගොල්ලෝ දන්න දෙයක් ඔක අනිවාර්යයි computer system එකක් classify කරන්න මොනවද තියෙන්නේ කියන එක. But I will in this also will go through hardware and software and human operators, like different types of human operators, so that I can teach you guys what this is. On ඔය module එකේ මම පොඩ්ඩක් ඔයගලන්ට interesting දේවල් ටිකක් පෙන්නනවා. Like when it comes to a motherboard, there are like different components you need to know which is there in a motherboard. Motherboard එක තියෙන මොනවද කියලා දැනගෙන ඉන්න ඕනේ ඇත්තට. මොකද ඉස්සර like let's say about 20 years ago, when you open up a motherboard, it had a total different set of input output ports as well as total different set of capacitors and fans and so on and so forth. Now things have improved a lot, but still the base architectures are almost still there. So do we have any people who use a Mac? Can I see a raise of hands if we have anybody is using a Mac? All right. Okay. So I hope you guys know that we got this M1 Mac where you get the feature to where this new ARM processor architecture was released. So I will take you guys through this as well, and then we'll see how and these things work. Then we have the fifth point where it analyzes the activities of data processing. So here we'll just go through the types of data processing: gathering, validation, processing, output, storage, methods, and the tools, OCR, and on what type of tools we store the data, barcoding, and so on and so forth, as well as we'll think about digital validation methods like data type checks, process checks, range checks, and modes of data inputs and data processing, output methods, storage methods, local and remote storage, cloud storage methods, and all sorts of things related to data processing. And then the sixth point will be to investigate the applications of ICT in different domains. So here we'll just go through some applications, and obviously I'll take you guys on a big journey here as well, where we can go through these, we can analyze in depth into these particular points and understand what these points are and understand how it works. And then we have the last point for the first module, evaluation of the impact of ICT in the society. Here we'll be discussing the impacts like benefits and the issues which ICT calls, and problems with confidentiality, stealing and phishing, privacy, piracy, and copyright and intellectual property laws, plagiarism, and license and unlicensed software. මේකත් ඉන්ට්‍රස්ටිං පාර්ට් එකක්. මම ඔගේ පෙන්නන්නම් ඔයගලන්ට මේ කොහොමද ෆිෂිං ඇටැක්ස් කියන එක වැඩ කරන්නේ කියලා. ෆිෂිං කියන්නේ පොඩි හොර විදිහකට පොඩි මිනිස්සෙක්ව රවට්ටලා එයාගේ ඩීටේල්ස් ටික හොරකම් කරන එක. ෆිෂිං කියන එකේ තේරුම ඒක. ෆිෂිං the meaning is it basically shows you some false information and it makes you input some details based on that false information so that they can or the attacker can get your password or get your access. So I will show you some interesting points with this because we specialized in web security and also we continuously like get these type of attacks and situations. So I can easily take you guys through one of these situations and show you guys how it works. So that is going to be something interesting as well. And then that would be the conclusion for the first module. Okay, so guys, as I said, I'm going to finish this lecture at 8:30. So the idea behind this lecture was to teach you guys and show you guys the whole big picture of ICT and to get your to basically get your comments on this as well. And of course, if you have your friends who are planning to do ICT in the English medium, please do invite them to join the next few lectures as well, because the first month will be entirely free. So you guys have more, like you guys have like 3 more classes going on until the 30th. So all these classes will be free, and during these 3 classes, I will be covering up the basic concepts of IT module so that this will be completely gone through, and we will be starting the next part for the introduction. Because the reason I want to do that is I want to actually do this in a kind of like a small different way, because now this has to be done at first. The basic concepts of IT has to be done first, and then after getting into the introduction to computer, I want to just get your feedback on this, and we'll have to see what time. Sorry, after doing the second and third and the fourth one, we have the option of actually skipping back to 7, where we will be like working on the coding part itself. But that is something which we'll have to find out, because obviously you guys will be getting your term tests and all, and we have to make sure that we have the knowledge and the capacity to go through those things as well. But what I suggest is you guys please do your background research as well. And for the HTML and PHP part, I will be releasing a video series soon on YouTube. I'm still working on it. So I have last week I did this HTML revision session for the 2023 students, and I will be releasing a web development, a complete in-depth HTML video sometime soon, so that you guys can use that as a reference also. But during the class, we will obviously do an hands-on development, so that I will teach you guys how to set up the servers, and we will do it together. Okay, so that's it for today. I really want to know your feedback. What do you think? Do you have any questions? You can type it in the chat as well. Okay. You don't have to be shy. You can of course ask. Private or no ප්‍රශ්නයක් අහන්න ඕනෙලා අපිට මේ කතා කරන්න පුළුවන්. And of course send me feel free to send me any questions on WhatsApp as well so that we can go through it. And I will help you as soon as possible when I get the message. And of course, also one last thing before we close for today then. Next week we will do a little bit of a yes, I was just going to tell that. So I wanted to start a physical class at Rotary. So the class was planned to be started on Tuesday, but sadly, due to the reduced number of students, I couldn't literally start it. So if we have at least about 5 to 6 students, then of course we can start the physical class. Until then, I will have to stick with the Zoom version. So, if you have a group of friends, or let's say if we get this set of students, if you guys can, of course, come for the physical class, then we can do it at Rotary as well. But even if we do a physical class, if you guys can, please do bring your laptops to the class as well. That would be a massive help. I mean, not for all the classes, at least for the programming and the web development class, because that will give you a massive advantage because we are going to do the hands-on. Yeah, I'll put the contact number. Yeah, I just put my contact number on the chat. Okay, so then students, I'm going to close this session for today. So next week, it will be a bit longer session. We'll start at 6:30 and I will go through all the points as we discussed right now. And I will give you the tute as well for this, where we will be having the basic concepts of ICT and the basic points. And that's it. So please do ask your friends to join as well, whomever who is doing A-level in English medium, as well as if you have any questions, ping me on WhatsApp, and I'll be more than glad to help you out. Okay, super. Thanks a lot. Good night. See you guys next week. See you.